In this video, I'm going to share with you how I scaled from sporadic deals to $50,000 months in wholesale real estate. At 25 years old, I closed my first deal for a total profit of $7,000 after 6 months of straight failure. But here's what nobody talks about. Doing a few deals and building a wholesale business are two completely different things. So in this video, I want to walk you through step by step how I went from those early sporadic deals to consistently generating $20,000 to $50,000 per month. If I was able to go from jail, broke, living with my mom to building a systematic wholesale business, I know for a fact you can scale yours too, as long as you follow the roadmap that I'm going to lay out for you. So pay attention. So let's talk about the early struggle, all right, where most wholesalers stay stuck, right? When I made my first few sporadic deals, right? The first 6 months of failure, it was really just trying everything and just seeing what worked. I was literally just throwing shit against the wall and seeing what stuck, right? I was actually doing everything. I had pulled lists. I made an account for PropStream. I made an account for batch leads. I was skip tracing. I was pulling lists. I was hand dialing with my hand. I was hand dialing them with my cell phone, and I was calling Zillow for sale by owner leads. There was no real structure. And over time, I was able to build that structure after repeating what I knew worked. And here's what I learned that changed everything. Most wholesalers who get stuck after their first few deals are still doing what everyone else is doing. They're hitting the same lists, using the same methods, competing for the same deals, right? The students that I work with break through because I show them how to find deals where there's no competition or very little. When it comes to finding your own deals, you want to move from the mainstream approach, what's widely accepted, what everyone's doing, and you want to stick to a more targeted niche approach, right? You want to go for a sniper method, not the machine gun spray. You want to be as efficient as possible with your data and with your calls. You want to make sure that the people that you're talking to are actually people who want to sell their house. When it comes to finding your own deals, basically you just, like I said, want to be a sniper, not a machine gun. You want to be accurate with your data, whether that's skip tracing, whether that's pulling a list from a software, whether that's pulling lists from a county or from a city, whether it's code violations, evictions, water cutoff list, fire damage list, whatever it is. You want to have an avatar. You want to know which person you're looking for, right? Now, if another deal pops up and it's a laydown, but it's outside of your buy box, but it's easy money, yeah, take it. But having a target avatar and a target market is what's really gonna allow you to systematize your sales process and the entire operation of the business, because you can't have a repeatable automated business if it's just going based off of guesswork. And look, I know driving for dollars sounds tedious, and trust me, there were times when we got pulled over by the police who thought we were up to something else. But this is what separates wholesalers who scale from those who stay stuck. We were willing to do what others wouldn't to get the results that others couldn't get. And so after I got my sales process in order, I knew which market I was targeting, and I knew what my avatar was. I knew what type of seller I was going for. The quality and leads changed drastically, immediately. I was going from 2 to 3 leads per week to 2 to 3 leads per day. But more importantly, the quality of the lead was better. I knew who I was talking to, I knew who I was going after, and I got used to the objections and rebuttals, and I got familiar with talking to this specific type of avatar, right? The seller started saying things like, it's been sitting here for 10 plus years, instead of, you're the 9th caller. Why are you calling me? What's your offer? This is why targeted lists and targeted markets and having a target avatar is better than mass lists or just getting as much data as possible and hoping that something's in there. You want to be intentional with everything in your business, because if you are, then you can delegate it to someone else. And let me touch a little bit more on the sales process. You need a process to go from hello to goodbye. And you need to know everything that's supposed to happen in between, what could go wrong, what could go right, what's a good lead and what's a bad lead. So a sales process is what enables you to fully automate the sales of the business, which is ultimately how you're going to make money. If you watch my YouTube videos, you know that my sales process is the 5-step sales process: intro, fact find, pitch, offer, and close. And within those 5 steps of that sales process, there's another 3 to 5 steps within each step. For example, the intro. Within the intro, within the first 4 seconds of the prospect hearing your voice, they have to assume that you are an expert in your field, sharp as a tack, and enthusiastic as hell. I got all that from The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort, and I could go into that in another video. But in a nutshell, in your intro, you have to let them assume that within the first 4 seconds and let them feel that. And then they have to know who you are, why you're calling, what value you could give to them, and why they should stick around and listen to you on the phone. That is a whole process within the intro. And then at the very end of the intro, you ask for permission to move forward into a sales process. But having your entire sales process mapped out and strategically organized is what's going to ultimately drive the revenue of the business. Here's what my successful students understand. Confidence comes from competence, and competence comes from having the right systems. When you know your numbers, your market, and your process, you naturally sound confident because you are confident. Because in a nutshell, this is just a numbers game. If you talk to a certain amount of people, then you're going to make a certain amount of offers. And if you make a certain amount of offers, you're going to get a certain amount of contracts. And if you make a certain amount of contracts, then you will close a certain amount of deals. The key is to have systems and processes in place to make sure that all 4 of those things are always generating new opportunities every single day, week, and month. That is how you can predict your income. And if you have your sales process down, you know which market you're in, you know which avatar you're seeking after, you know which avatar you're looking for, you bring them through the sales process, you get them to the close, you got to make sure that you have a good contract for executing that close and buyers in place and buyer systems so that you could fulfill that sale. Because after you get the contract signed, you still got to get it to the closing table. When you have a good deal, the buyers will come to you, okay? Because good deals and great deals are always in high demand. So as soon as you get a good deal, you have the right systems in place and processes to where you know how to find these deals. Finding buyers is the easy part. They're usually always in plain sight, just waiting for a good deal to pop up. And when you do have a deal to bring to them and they come to you buying that deal, you want to make sure that you have a system and process in place to take down their information. What is their buy box criteria? How many deals are they buying a month, a year? How many deals have they bought within the past year, within the past 2 years? Take down this information and put it into your CRM or into a spreadsheet where you could log all of your buyers, and you know you have a sufficient and effective buyers list so you could sell deals fast. The difference between my students who scale and those who don't is simple. The successful ones understand that every system can be improved. They don't just find one buyer, they build buyer networks. They don't just make one offer, they systematize their offer making process. This is why it is so important to have professional operations. Working with title companies, you have to be professional. You have to be able to answer the phone or call a receptionist at a random title company for a deal that you have and build a relationship professionally. When you present this assignment of contract to your buyers, you have to do it in a professional manner. That way they know that you're legit and they could come back to you for more business. And just being professional with the buyer and just setting a standard of how you're going to operate on the front end with the buyer allows you to get way higher deposits for the earnest money. You're able to get $3,000 to $5,000 for every deal you get because you're credible. They can trust you. They've done deals with you before. You have a name. You built a name for yourself out here in this market that you're dominating. And if you have all that down, the next transition you're going to make is into scaling. Making the transition into scaling is the difference between doing deals and running a business. You can't scale just you yourself doing deals. You can scale a business that has acquisition managers, disposition managers, VAs, transaction coordinators, things like that. Title companies in place. You can scale that, right? You could duplicate that. You could delegate and automate that. Building systems that work without constant oversight. Moving from manual processes to automated systems and creating predictable monthly income, which is ultimately what this is all about. Anyone can get lucky and do a few wholesale deals. But the students who work with me aren't just doing deals. They're building real businesses. The difference is having someone who's actually made this transition help you build the systems that create consistent results. Then there was Jaira. She closed her first deal within the first 45 days, I believe. Then there was Xavier. He made $10,000 within 18 days. And to be honest, once they close that first deal and they know it's possible, they never go back. And they stay with me. They grow with me. They're my friends now, right? Because that's what a mentorship is about. is the relationship you build and the friendship that you build and the value that you give to each other over time. It benefits me because now I have multiple wholesalers doing tens of thousands of dollars every single month, and they're in my network. And to be honest, most of my students don't come just to close one deal. They come for the change. They come because they want to change their reality. They want to change their identity, shift their identity, and start living a life that they always wanted to live. It's never about just one wholesale deal. What my students want is financial freedom, time freedom that allows them to do the things that they're truly passionate about. This is why information isn't enough to scale. You need to have someone who's hands-on, who's done this before, not only for themselves, but have helped other people do it as well. That's the difference between knowing steps and executing systematically. When you see the results, when you see the testimonials of the students who put in the work, who put their trust in the processes and the systems, and now they get to reap the benefits of sticking to the process. Now they have the time freedom to be able to give more time and energy to their loved ones. So here's what makes me different from every other wholesale coach out there. I'm the most hands-on coach you'll ever work with. I give you my personal cell phone number. When my students have questions about deals, contracts, scaling their operations, they don't just post in some Facebook group hoping that someone responds. They text me directly and I respond. I just walked you through the exact process I use to go from sporadic deals to consistent $50,000 months. But let me be completely honest with you. There's a massive difference between knowing these steps and actually implementing them while you're trying to manage your existing deals and scale your business. The students who successfully make this transition from doing random deals to building systematic wholesale businesses don't do it alone. I help you analyze your deals, optimize your contracts, build your buyer's network, and systemize your entire operation. I'm there when you need help to scale your lead generation, or when you need help to structure bigger deals, or when you want to build systems that work without you. I'm there for all of it. And here's what makes me different. I'm not just teaching this, I'm still doing this. I'm actively building my wholesale business while helping my students build theirs. If you want someone who will actually be there to help you scale, then click the link in the description and book a call with me. On that call, we'll map out exactly what your wholesale business needs to look like to hit consistent $20,000 to $50,000 months. And I'll show you exactly how I can help you build it. But I'm only looking to work with people who are serious about scaling their operations. So if you're just looking for free information, this isn't for you. If you're ready to stop leaving money on the table and start building a real systematic business with someone who's actually done this and helped students do it every single day, click that link and let's talk. The students who book calls with me this week will be the ones hitting their first $20,000 months within the next 90 days. Stay motivated.